Hey guys, my name is Abina and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I am a travel content creator. I love traveling and I love creating videos and social media posts where I bring you guys along with me on my various travels. Once a year, I give you some BTS. I do a behind the scenes video on what it's like to actually be a travel content creator, travel YouTuber, travel Instagrammer, and I kind of just show you guys the realities of it as well as like the great stuff about it. So in 2021, I did a video about what it was like to be a travel content creator in a pandemic. It was hard because I couldn't travel. And then in 2022, I did a video about what it was like being a travel content creator from 9 to 5. Unlike, you know, a lot of people think, I am not from money, I'm not like super rich. I spent the first half of my 20s kind of like really grinding, saving money, traveling in between like work, and it took a lot of effort. So I showed a little bit of that in that video. And then in 2023, last year, I actually quit my 9 to 5 job and I went full-time with travel content creation. Since last year's video, I've gotten so many messages and DMs from people asking me how they can also start documenting their travels and become a travel content creator. So I'm actually currently writing a guide all about how to become a travel content creator. If you think you'd be interested in a guide, definitely click in the first link in my description box to join a waiting list. Or if you're watching this in 2025, I probably would have published the guide by now, so definitely click the link to purchase the guide. But for this year's video, I decided that I'm gonna get real with you guys. I have been full-time as a travel content creator for 1 year, and I have to tell you guys, it is over-glamorized. And I'm not saying that because I'm not grateful for the opportunities I've been given. I'm not saying that because I'm complaining about first world problems. I just say that there are a lot of people who are selling this dream about being an influencer, you know, getting all this money and all these followers, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, there's so many things that people don't tell you. And so I really want to get real with you guys from my experience of doing this, of what it's truly like to be a travel content creator and what I wish I knew before I started. So the first thing I wish I knew is that to be a successful travel content creator, you need to have a passion for two things. I know you're thinking, why do I need to have a passion for two things? Well, a lot of people say they want to be travel influencers or content creators just based on the fact that they love going on holiday. But that is not unusual. Who doesn't like taking a break? Who doesn't like taking some time off? But to truly become a successful travel content creator, you need to have a passion for both travel and documentation. You need to actually love documenting your holidays and your travels. When you go on holiday, are you that person who's like, oh my days, guys, let's do a good photo, let's do a good video? Do you save TikToks for you and your friends to do when you're like on the beach or at your hotel? Are you that one girl that when the food comes, you're the one arranging the table, getting a nice shot? Are you that person that when you sit in front of a beach, you just have a sudden urge to like write or to kind of draw the scene you're witnessing? Those are tell signs that you would be a good travel content creator. If you just like traveling, but the idea of like waking up early on holiday to take photos is like too much for you, or when you come back from holiday, the 10,000 or I don't know, 500 photos you have on your camera will overwhelm you, then I really don't think travel content creation is for you. I'm just being so honest and being so real. It is so much more work than it looks like. And like when you are a content creator, you wear so many hats. It's not just your passion for the subject you're talking about, like travel or makeup or whatever. You are a creative director. You have to be good at writing or taking photos or taking videos or editing or voiceovers. You have to be willing to keep up with trends. You need to do a lot of research. When you're shooting content, right, you need to, you're the wardrobe expert, you are the makeup artist, you are the project manager, you make sure you get your props, you make sure the environment is perfect for whatever you need to shoot. All that takes a lot of effort. And if you're gonna do all that on holiday, you better love doing it. The second thing I wish I knew before becoming a travel content creator is that strangers on the internet can be your biggest supporters. In fact, strangers on the internet are usually your biggest supporters. And I want to say this because some people get so held back because they feel like they don't look cringe in front of their friends, or they don't want to start a travel page or an Instagram page or YouTube because they're scared about what their friends will think about them or what their family will think about them. Trust me, the real supporters of my page, the people that actually make a difference, the people that actually move the needle when it comes to like numbers of just people watching my content, it's internet strangers. And you don't have to be a big account like mine to feel like, oh, I have people on the internet supporting you. Like, even if when I first started my page, I had a couple of people who I had no idea who they were. They were just really kind people who liked my photos, who would say, oh, beautiful photo, oh, that's really nice, or I found that really helpful. And those are the people who encourage you. They have no reason to be embarrassed about you. They have no reason to gossip about you. They don't know who you are. They just look at your work and they're like, oh my god, your work is so good. I feel like one of the best things about being a travel content creator is that you can find a really cool community. And I've heard a lot of drama about like the beauty community, the fashion community, but I have to say the travel community, there's usually no drama. Like, people who love travel are usually people who are quite open-minded. They're open to new experiences. They're open to people that are not like them. They're open to things that are different, right? And so they tend to be on a more kinder side, or the more like understanding side, or the more like listening side. And so it's just such a nice community. So I want to say that, like, even if you're like, oh, none of my friends will support me, or they might think I'm cringe, or they might think I'm funny when I post this content, think about the fact that when you start posting that content, you're gonna find people who you don't know who will actually support that. The third thing I wish I knew before becoming a travel content creator, or as I was growing as a travel content creator, is that the whole like 10k, 100k milestones, low-key overrated. Don't get me wrong. I think to grow a community of 10,000 or 100,000 people who love you and who find your content really cool and helpful and inspiring, it's an achievement. You know, it's such an achievement. However, I think sometimes people can see it as the end all be all. It's like, if I reach 100k, it's gonna unlock so many views, or that's how I know that I can, you know, quit my job and go full time. And it's really not true. I know people who have less than 100k who are earning more than me, who are earning six figures, who are really about the business side of social media and are acing it. I know people with less than 10,000 followers who have amazing engaged audiences. Like, when they post, you know, the little community they have will ride and die for them, will support them, will vote for them, will buy whatever they recommend. And that impact is still so powerful. Social media has this, it kind of makes us feel like big numbers are not that big because you're comparing it to other people. When I reached 100k, my inbox kind of looked the same. There were probably a couple of brands that wanted to work with me that once I reach 100k, they're like, okay, cool, she's within this bracket. The most important thing is not about going viral and getting all these followers. It's actually about having an engaged audience. There's been times where I feel like I grew my audience, but like, they didn't know me and I didn't know them. And I realized that actually having a community who will ride or die for you is so much more important than just having inflated numbers. Another thing I wish I knew before I became a travel content creator, actually more so before I became a full-time travel content creator, is that it's super important to have multiple streams of income. And now I say it now, it makes sense, of course. But when I first went full-time, and before I even went full-time as a travel content creator, I feel like I lived in this bubble, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are in as well, where I felt like working with brands was the be-all, like the height of, you know, life as an influencer or as a content creator. Don't get me wrong, it is the most amazing and cool thing to feel like a brand has recognized you or would like to work with you. There is so much money in brand work. Actually, in advertising in general, if you work in advertising, you know how much money goes into it. And with influencer work, you know, at my level, for example, you can easily be earning 4 figures per post for a brand, 5 figures per like a package deal. So, and it's really great to kind of work with like brands that you use, you know. However, it can be very nerve-wracking to live your life just earning money from brand deals. I have to be so real about this. And when I had a 9 to 5, I didn't really mind so much because my main source of income, what paid my rent, what paid my bills, blah, 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 was my 9 to 5. When I went full time, I began to realize the holes and the issues in depending on brand work for my sole income. Brand work is inconsistent. Yes, there are certain brands you can work with who will say, we want to work with you over, you know, a 6-month period. Or I know some brands do like ambassadorships where like they make you an ambassador for a year, and within that year they'll pay you X amount every month. But those are a minority of partnerships. A lot of partnerships will be a one-off, or it will be like a 2-month campaign, or it will be like a 1 week, you go on this trip and that's kind of it. And you don't know when those deals are gonna come in. 90+% of my deals come from brands reaching out to me or tourism boards reaching out to me. And a lot of my friends who are also full-time travel content creators, it's the same. Pitching is great, it's an essential skill to have, but when you pitch to brands, the thing is, because you are asking them to work with you, you are often on the back foot when it comes to like how much you're charging or how much money they may have available to you, because you have come to them, right? It's kind of like a cold call. I get emails every single week, but a lot of emails can be very spammy, or it's like unpaid work, or it's like, can you promote us for free? And it's like, that doesn't pay my bills. And that is so normal. It is so normal in this industry, especially because in the marketing world, in the travel world especially, there are ebbs and flows, right? So pre-Christmas, there'll be like a massive push. Black Friday, Christmas holidays. And then in January, there's like a lull, because it's like, who's thinking about traveling in January? And so they're very much up and down. You actually have to be financially literate. You need to be able to learn how to save, budget the money that comes in. I see this thing happening on social media where I'll see someone do a video that's like, oh, this is how much I earned from brand deals as an influencer this month. And don't get me wrong, they probably have earned a really good amount of money. I am very much for income transparency within the influencer world, because sometimes it is very hard to know like how much to charge brands or what rates you should have, blah, blah, blah. However, no one gets a brand deal and gets paid for that brand deal within the same month. It is so rare. Like maybe a brand has reached out and have a really, really quick campaign they want to do. It's end of year financially, so they need to get rid of that budget, otherwise they'll lose it, and so they pay you super quickly, blah, blah, blah. When the brand reaches out to you, there's like 1 or 2 weeks of like figuring out the contract and negotiating deliverables and the fee they're gonna pay you. And then there's like a couple more weeks where they give you time, they send you the brief and they give you time to shoot the campaign, especially in the travel world. And maybe that they're sending you to another country to shoot the campaign, come back, have more time to edit before you even submit the deliverables they asked you for. And then you post the content another couple of weeks, and then you send your invoice. It's not like having a 9 to 5 where you are automatically kind of paid. No, you have to send a paper that says, you owe me this money, I've done the work, you owe me the money now. And then usually invoices will have a minimum deadline of 30 days. You have to pay me within 30 days or 60 days, or some brands do 90 days, 90 working days to wait for your money. So when you think about it, a lot of the time, brand deals, they reach out to you month 1, you're probably only closing and getting money for that brand deal in month 3. It's stuff like that that people don't talk about. Again, I am not saying any of this to complain. If someone is paying you like 4 figures for one Instagram reel, that is amazing. Like, it's such a blessing to have that earning potential. I'm just saying, really important to have multiple streams of income. One way to have multiple streams of income is to have multiple platforms. Creating products, group trips. In a travel space, group trips is really big. I'm always like 2-3 months ahead financially. Like, I should always have enough money for the next kind of quarter. If you go full time, they always recommend make sure you have enough money for 6 months. And obviously commercial skills such as learning how to negotiate, read contracts, pitch are just so important. This is a bit of a sensitive topic, and it is on by no means an attack on any group of people, but the real truth and reality is, like, if you are a person of color within the influencer or content creation space, you are not getting the same opportunities as your white counterparts. I just had to say it. I know in a lot of like ethnic minority communities, people talk about having to work 10 times harder in order to get the same thing that someone else gets. And I feel that way all the time as a black travel content creator. Why am I getting emotional? I think this is something I really want to talk about, because I know a lot of people that follow me are people of color, black, brown people. I also know people that follow me who are also white, and if you're following me and you are white, please, this is not an attack on you or anything like that. I'm just stating facts and my reality. There have been studies published around the color pay gap in the influencer world. I will link one below that was done in the UK about how big the pay gap can be between white influencers and their and POC influencers. But also in my own experiences, I have so many stories of times that I've been treated differently, and I know that it's because of my color. I remember one time a friend and I got reached out to. We had both had the same numbers on Instagram. We both do solo travel, but she's white, I'm black. And we got reached out to do a campaign, and I was really excited about this campaign because it was actually a service I use. We were like, oh my days, we both got the same emails. Okay, so we reply back with our rates. We both had similar rates. And the way in which the agency replied back to me and the way in which the agency replied back to her, completely different things. Okay, I've switched to my phone. I'm hoping the audio quality is decent. But let me continue. So we were comparing the emails we were getting from this agency, and they were not the same. We both sent our rates. We're like, okay, we'd love to work with this brand. These are our rates. The agency, obviously it's a negotiation. So the agency will come back and say, well, we can't pay your full rate, but we'll meet you in the middle somewhere. Well, that's what they said to her. They were like, okay, we'll try and meet you in the middle. We'll try and make it work. With me, they were like, no, this is what we want to pay you. And so I went back to them and I was like, oh, could you at least go higher by maybe a little bit? As you do, like, it's a negotiation. Their response back to me was crazy. Instead of them to be like, no, we can't go higher, this is our last offer, or to say, actually, maybe we can go a little higher, let me get back to you, you know, they were like, no, well, thanks for talking, that's it, like, we're not gonna work with you anymore. That was not even an opportunity for me to be like, okay, if this is your final offer, okay, well, I'll just take it. Very, very dismissive, very, very, very much like shutting me down. The email they sent to my white counterpart was completely different. They were like, okay, like, you know, yeah, we'll try and see if we can get more budget. Like, the way they spoke to her, like, we compared, like, different emails, because there's a whole chain. And I was like, the way they're talking to you, you can tell they're really trying to make something work. The way they're talking to me, completely different. They're not trying to make it work. And they basically told me no. I remember a few weeks ago, I got reached out to do a group trip, but I got emailed on a Friday and they wanted me to get back to them on a Monday. The trip was also like very, very close. So I was like, oh, this is like really, really fast. Like, what's going on? And then I was sitting there and I remembered I met up with a friend who was also a travel content creator a few weeks ago, and she had mentioned that she had been invited to this country, but she had said no because she didn't want to do it because it's unpaid, blah, blah, blah. So I emailed her, and I didn't email her. I messaged her and I was like, by the way, I've got invited to this like trip to the country you said you got invited to. Is this the same campaign? And she was like, yeah, it's the same thing. Turns out, like, they had reached out to people they really wanted on the trip months ago. She got reached out to like months ago. And they reached out to me maybe like 2.5 weeks before the trip. And I get it. You plan a trip, you choose your first picks of who you want to go on that trip. If you obviously don't fill all your spaces, because some people won't say yes, they won't come, then you know, find some backup people to go on the trip. But I just felt like, yo, like, you reached out to this guy like 2 months ago. And he reached out to me 2 weeks before the trip. And on social media, I see so many black travel content creators complain about this, complain that they got invited to a trip or to an event 2 days before the event or a day before the event. It's like, you were not the first pick. And it's like, why is this the case? Another thing that I wish I knew before becoming a travel content creator is realizing that management it's not a be and end all of professionalizing yourself as an influencer or as a content creator. Management are essentially glorified middlemen. The reason why management agencies exist, the reason why people want to manage influencers is because they know there's money to be made, right? Like, well, that's what a middleman is. They take a cut in exchange for doing some of your work. But if you can do all that work by yourself, then you don't need to give a cut away for free. I've had management twice. The first time I worked with management was when I was a micro influencer. I quickly realized that even though she was pitching me every single month, and you know, I knew she was pitching me, and she was pitching me to like a good amount of brands every single month, majority of my work was still coming from people just reaching out to me. And this is why you should never underestimate the fact that as a content creator, your work, your page is a portfolio. So I realized that like even though I was giving my manager commission from the work I was getting, it just felt like I got that work just through me doing hard work and posting good content on social media. At that time too, I was very new to the business side of social media and I didn't really understand how negotiating worked. I didn't know how to send an invoice properly, and I was just really confused about so many different things. And so I feel like she was able to capitalize on that, and she did a lot of the like sending invoices and, you know, clearing contracts for me. And those are things that really and truly, once you learn how to do it, you can do it yourself. Or for example, contracts, you can get a freelance lawyer to look over a contract for you. My second management experience was with a management agency. This agency was founded by someone who is like really popular in the UK space. She's done so many things. She is really amazing. And so when I spoke to her last year, I'd just gone full time. And if I was to go back, I would not have joined management or not have gone under management as early as then. A few things happened. One, I lost access to my emails. I didn't actually realize until we signed and I was asked to change the email address in my bio to that email address. I realized, wait, can I also get access to that email address? Like, I still want to see emails. Like, they're like, no, that's not how they work. So for a whole year, I lost access to my emails. Guys, I cannot tell you how damaging that is, considering working with brands is like the biggest source of income I have. If I can't see them emailing me, how do I trust that those inquiries are being dealt with in a timely and reasonable manner? I don't know why I'm expected to suddenly just trust based on nothing. Because of that, I didn't really have the best relationship with my manager, if I'm being so honest. I feel like one of the reasons why I stayed around was because I didn't want to be alone. I didn't want to be alone in this like really hard and competitive industry. Anyway, since I left my management, things have been so much more relieving. Yes, I have a lot more admin to do in terms of sending invoices and in terms of going back and forth with brands. But honestly, it's been so much more peaceful. Last point of the video, the final thing I wanted to say and the final thing I wish I knew before I became a travel content creator is that being a content creator or becoming an influencer can and it will change your life. It can change your life massively. I have gone from staying in hostels, eating really cheap kind of grocery shop, street food, flying like the cheapest flights and airlines I can find, to being flown out in business class to stay in 5-star hotels. And I'm not saying this to boast, and this is not every day. A lot of the time it's economy class and I'm flying to these hotels to work, to create content, to be sweating in the sun with my camera, okay? So it's not all glamorous, but there's still so many amazing opportunities. I recently got nominated by TikTok as Travel Creator of the Year. Like, there's just amazing accolades and opportunities and trips out there for you as a content creator, and it really can change your life. Working with brands, having that another source of income on top of maybe your 9-to-5 or whatever business you do, it's also amazing. Social media has changed my life and has changed so many people's lives, and it can be for the better and can be for the worst. One thing that I would say is for the worst is like when you become a content creator, you can sometimes feel like a slave to the algorithm, and you can sometimes feel like a slave to social media. I do struggle with addiction to social media sometimes. I struggle with putting my phone down and just being present and connected with like my friends and family in real life. You know, I struggle with the fact that to do my job a lot of the time, I have to be away, I have to be traveling. And I love traveling, thank God, but sometimes there's parts of the jobs where you're like, oh, this is so long, you know? It can be for the worst when you get a lot of hate. You get strangers who support you, but you also get some strangers who want to pull you down because they're miserable about their own lives, and that can impact you as well. So I think it's always worth, before you throw your hat into the ring, to weigh the pros and cons. It's up to you. I hope you found this video helpful. Again, I'm super grateful for all of you guys, super grateful for everything. This was not a complaining video, but hopefully it kind of shines some light onto parts of the business that you probably have not thought of before. Bye!